Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Miami, and this is season 7, and this is episode 14, and it's called Navigating Friendships. This is the episode where they're on the Virgin Cruise. And actually, I saw this online. I don't know if anyone else picked up on it. But for those who maybe watched Bravo's Fan Fest, which was kind of similar to like their BravoCon, they did this in Miami last year to kind of replace BravoCon because they didn't have it last year. And they literally were in the same clothes. So they must have went from Fan Fest to the cruise. And the cruise also is just like a cruise where they just go around Miami. Like they don't really go anywhere. It's basically just an excuse to party on the ship. And honestly, because I've never been on a cruise before, that would be a nice soft launch for a cruise for me. I actually would not be mad at that idea, especially since it's a Virgin mobile cruise. We already know that's going to be a well taken care of cruise based off of just a track history of Virgin in general and all the different products that Sir Richard Branson has put together. He's kind of one of the few billionaires that comes off or presents as friendly. So that's just what it is. But anyway, we are back for the episode, and also too, let me address the elephant in the room. For those who've seen my couple of videos and who have had your thoughts, had your prayers and stuff for me, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm doing better because I have had some updates when it comes to some of my family situation. The other, unfortunately, is just going to be, it's going to be waves. Because I think I told you guys a while ago that, which is why, maybe why I love Gertie so much, is because my sister is also like battling cancer right now as we speak, and that's kind of what's going on. Like she's not she's not doing well. So there's that. I just wanted to and try and be positive, but I'm also trying to be realistic all at the same time, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of what's going on here. But yeah, no, this week has been a better week for me. I've been focusing on just working on my fitness and just talking to my family. I've been actually talking to them every single day, so that's helped a lot. So yeah, so for those who've been thinking about me, thank you. I also did my hair over the long weekend just because I know when I look good, I feel good. It's just one of those things I do just to make myself feel better about things. And similar thing to like working out and go to the gym. That's kind of how, those are like the coping mechanisms I've learned in recent decade. Basically, like, you know, when you look good, you have a tendency of making sure you stay okay. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Let me show you the hair though real quick, because we're gonna switch. We're gonna keep this positive. So look at this. Look at this. So I also have been I wanted to joke about it, but you already know that's not the reason. Well, maybe it is a little bit. Carrie Huger is out! Carrie Huger is out of jail. So I had to represent and put some 613 in here. Okay. I am kidding. I really just wanted some blonde because I haven't rocked blonde that much this summer at all. I actually really haven't rocked blonde this summer. And for those who've been following my channel, y'all know ever since I got a touch of the 613, I see her once a year, okay? So this is, I had to get out the way before the summer is over, because the summer is basically almost, at least around Chicago, a wrap, for the most part. Like it's been the 60s, we're getting nice fall weather. The weather has been great. It's been one of those. But enough about me. Let's get into the show. Before we get into it, though, I am going to do this review slightly differently. So it's probably going to be a shorter review because I'm actually just going to go into each of the ladies individually and move it along, because I feel like this was an episode that set a lot of things up. I'm looking forward to next week because it looks like Stephanie's about to go off. And yeah, And honestly, to this episode, actually changed my mind just a little bit about Stephanie, just a little bit. So anyway, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with Alexia. Alexia, honestly, when it comes to her issues with Stephanie, I feel like she doesn't really have an issue with Stephanie for real. I feel like she is just really following Marisol's lead. And this episode, we start to see that is indeed what is happening. And kind of to a certain extent, it seems like that might have been what has always been happening the whole entire time. And it's very much reminiscent of the Dr. Nicole situation. The only difference is with Stephanie, she made herself not likable enough where you kind of took the both sides on this. But when you peel back the layer, it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? So two things can be true. Stephanie can be insufferable, but at the same time, we've seen this movie before. So that's kind of what we're learning and seeing here, because this is it's getting very similar to that, because when it comes to, and actually this episode and really next episode, I feel like we saw a little bit what's going to go on next episode. We see that's why Stephanie pulled Alexia's side, and then now she's talking to Marisol, because, you're learning that one doesn't work without the other very well. That's the other thing. One of them has a stronger opinion, but one of them has a stronger mouth. And that's what we're seeing here. So mainly this episode, when it came to Alexia, just mainly had to do with her trying to, see what they can do to resolve issues with her and Stephanie, along with her trying to assist Lisa in resolving her issues with Larsa, because the group is getting sick of Larsa and Lisa, like, going back and forth. And honestly, me as a viewer, I'm sick of it too. It's dragged on longer than it need to be. And honestly, I feel like that's more on Larsa's end than Lisa. But Lisa also didn't really do any favors when it came to this either. But yeah, we'll talk more about it when we talk about them individually. But that's kind of really what's been going on with Alexia this episode. She didn't really do much other than that. And she basically was just kind of talking to Lisa about her issues with Larsa and how she needs to resolve it. Because later on in this episode, when they do get on this cruise, they do decide, Marisol, because it's her event, she decides that she's going to split the group up in twos. So half the group goes to this test kitchen to like cook and drink and have a good time, and then the other have this dinner. And one thing I noticed in this episode, just in general, was that cruise ship seemed like it was moving a lot. I don't know if there's some turbulent waters. And that's why I would like to do this type of a cruise first, because I'm not sure how I would handle that. I get car sick very easily. Although when there's turbulence on the flight, I don't have as many issues. It's mainly a car I have issues. Turbulence on the flight, for the most part, I can handle that. I don't know what that is, but like, I feel like maybe there's just more aggressive motion when you're in a car with the bumping versus like turbulence. It's not as aggressive. Maybe because you're in the air, it doesn't feel as aggressive to the stomach. I don't know. And maybe because also too, when I'm on a flight, I know I don't eat much before I go on the flight. And when I'm driving, that's business as usual. So maybe there's a little bit of that. But anyway, so half the group was here and half the group was here. And that was kind of like the milk and cookies of the episode, or like the meat of the episode, if you will. I don't know why I said milk and cookies. The meat of the episode. So like, we had, in the test kitchen, we had Kiki, Gertie, Stephanie, and Larsa. And then on the other side, we had Lisa, Marisol, Alexia, Julia, and Adriana. So there was 5 over there on that side, and then we have 4 on the other. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. So with this episode with Adriana, she was definitely in the mood the whole entire episode. She was not really herself. And we find out why is because her birthday is coming up. And we found out, I didn't know this about her, but she hasn't celebrated her birthday since she's turned 40. She gets depressed around her birthday, basically. I know there's people that are like that, but I guess I just never knew that she was someone who was like that because she's gorgeous. Like, she is a Brazilian goddess. Like, I don't understand why she has these thoughts, but it was actually refreshing to see someone as beautiful as her could still feel this way. And we've also known, if you watch the show throughout the history of the show, Adriana has given some of her snapbacks and stuff like that, some of her times when she's went off on people, it has been given insecurity. And we know age with her is the topic that can set her off. And it's because she's extremely insecure about it. She does not like that she's getting older at all. Even though she looks better than most women her age. Hell, she looks, I mean, we already joked about it, but I mean, let's be so for real. She looks better than Marisol. Marisol's younger than her. She looks better than really Alexia. Like Adriana is a very gorgeous woman, but yeah, she couldn't hide her feelings and hide her emotions when it came to that. And so Gertie tried to lift her up and really tried to speak life into her, and it helped a little bit. But then later on, when she did join the girls later on for the dinner, she did show up late because she kind of slept it off. But she also mentioned she was drunk earlier on when she was kind of being emotional with Gertie. And yeah, really for the most part, she was trying to be the mediator for Lisa when it came to the things that are going on with her and Larsa. And trying to make sure that Alexia didn't get too snappy, because Alexia just has that tendency of getting too snappy. Because again, it's rich that she is commenting about Stephanie's delivery, and Alexia has literally the same problem. They both have horrible delivery. But yeah, so that's kind of really what Adriana's role was this episode. Hopefully, I just really hope she can really work through that. And she did share, I mean, part of the reason why is like in a couple of her relationships, she's got left for younger models. So, but, and I don't know, it's because she's dating younger, or is it because it's probably, I feel like a lot of it is because they're in Miami. I feel like that is a very Miami thing to hear. Like, I don't see that necessarily happening here in Chicago. Like, I'm going to get left for like a younger model. If anything, child, around here, maybe because I'm like, because I myself, I'm in my 40s, right? And honestly, I've never had this before living because I've only lived like my hometown, which is in Indiana, and here. I have never in my life gotten hit on so much by younger guys than living here. Those are the guys that usually hit on me. They're always younger. And I mean, a lot of times I have to like politely decline because I'm like, you're in your 20s. Like, because a lot of them be thinking I'm like 30. And I'm like, no. I am closer to 45 than 20 something. Let's be nah. Go away with me with this. But like that is like a common thing for me. But I don't know, it's just because of I present very youthful. It's not a maturity thing. I know it's not that, but I present youthful and I don't have any kids. So that's probably what it is. Like, the younger men like the aunties. I ain't gonna hold you. But anyway, moving on. All right. In this episode, Gertie was basically just the mediator this whole entire episode. And she actually, when at the beginning of the episode, she did FaceTime Stephanie to check up on her, on how she was dealing with that blow up that happened towards the end of the cast trip. And I'm noticing that for the most part, that is Gertie's role this season. She's just trying to be the mediator. And I like that for her. I think she just needs to stay out of the drama. She already has enough stuff going on. Like, why get in the drama? I will say this, though, because we never did go back to it. I just really wish we would have saw more of the post-cancer stuff from her, because as someone who's still kind of just like in it with my sister, I would love to have more information. And maybe I need to DM her and get some more information on how I can show up as a person in someone's life that, because I'm still trying to figure it out myself. So I think I'm going to reach out to Gertie about that, actually. Just because, like, I feel that's the only thing about the show that I'm just kind of like, man, like, we talked about like the first couple of episodes, but we talked about it during the time when things were kind of dark in the season. And I just kind of wish we still could bring that up, because it's just, you don't know unless you're in it. And I mean, and I'm only in it indirectly. It's not like it's me that's going through it. And I want to make that clear. That's not, I'm not trying to be Tamara over here trying to take it on as if it's my thing. But it's just one of those things like what do I need to do next? Because this is honestly the first one comes to me in my situation where it's been someone who's been like age adjacent, where someone's close to my age. And I think that's the other reason why I'm having the reactions I've been having when it comes to it. It's just a lot. And I think that's the only thing I will say. But outside of that, Gertie, though, has for the most part just been the mediator. I think I mentioned before that she also talked to, besides talking to Stephanie about her, what she has going on with Marisol and Alexia, she also, was speaking positivity to Adriana. That's pretty much all she did this episode. Anyway. Oh, and her confessionals. Gertie's confessionals this episode was sending me. Like the fact that she was like, I think Lisa and Larsa both need a muzzle. She's not wrong. Not wrong. No life's told there. Because their beef is really silly when you think about it. And maybe that's why I'm not mad at the beef. And it's not annoying, but both of them have a tendency of being insufferable. So that's why it can be kind of annoying, but it's also comical all at the same time. It's like the type of light beef that you want on a Housewives show. It's so not serious. And so, anyway, moving on. Okay, in this episode, we get more of Kiki and what she has going on. She actually has a lunch with her dad. She has her dad try some salmon tartare. I was going to say tuna tartare because that's normally the one I usually get. I usually get the tuna tartare, but she has her dad try that. And her dad, we find out that her dad has been stepping in to help her out with her family members who are trying to get things from her since, basically having this fame. Because she basically just described how like her family, because she's on TV, thinks she's like this, like she's just rolling in the money, and she's like, I wish, but no, that's not how that is. And so we found out that her dad's been helping her out with that a lot. And then we also she does try to talk to her dad about her point of view of the situation, how she got kicked out at like when she was 15 from her home in Haiti, and then she had to move to the United States alone and basically make it on her own. And her dad, typical Caribbean dad, shut that conversation down. He was not going to talk about it for real. He basically said, it's not my fault. Move on. Let's move forward. And for Kiki, that was enough for her, because she was like, you know what? I was at least glad I was able to say something to him, because the other thing is that she mentioned, and I've heard this before, you normally wouldn't be able to even say anything to him. Like, she would have just had to keep that. Because normally, it's like my way or the highway. You don't question what I do. And the thing that's interesting is I feel like in Black American culture, especially, I would say up until The younger millennials don't really have that as much because the younger millennials are raised by Gen Xers, like their parents are Gen Xers. But like the older millennials, like myself, my dad's like my parents are baby boomers. That's where that shift of like the strict household rules and then more the gentle parenting began. You know, in the middle of the millennials, like, because I'm technically a zillennial, because I think up until like 1990 something, I was considered Gen Xer before they changed the whole thing, and now there's like the millennial people are just like it's a larger gap than it was originally. But yeah, so it's fascinating whenever I hear cultures and stuff like that when it comes to like how parents treat things and stuff like that. And, you know, Kiki even made a comment. She's like, I've been in the United States longer than I've been in Haiti at this point. So, like, I'm going to say how I feel. I'm just like, you know, it is what it is. And also, too, she's a grown woman. But at the end of the day, it didn't get hostile. She just said what she had to say, and then they kind of moved on. And also, what was also nice and refreshing is, like, they spoke Creole pretty much the whole entire scene. So that was nice to see, too. And it's one of the things I just love about this franchise is just the diversity. And I would love for it to stay that way. Bravo. So hopefully all of these women can stay on the show, minus Julia, and move forward. And then bring Dr. Nicole back. That's my request. But anyway, moving along. So then next we have the other, so Larsa. Larsa this episode was cracking me up. Although I'm not sure why we never see this from Larsa, but Larsa's fun. I can see how the girlies do like Larsa at the end of the day. Because even though she is definitely the villain of the show, it seems like when she actually doesn't do the villain thing and actually just, you know, gets turned up, she's a fun time. And I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like she is so much fun. Like, and that was pretty much her the whole entire time. She was venting about the Lisa thing and how she wants to have resolution, but she doesn't like that Jody got involved, even though she kind of brought Jody in it. We'll talk about that when we talk about Lisa a little bit more, but that's kind of really what happened there. And she wants Lisa to take more accountability. And honestly, to a certain degree, I kind of agree with Larsa. Lisa does need to take a little bit more accountability than what she's taking. But also, too, Larsa needs to acknowledge the fact that she's dragging this out longer than it needs to be dragged out. She's doing too much. But both of them are doing too much. And that's kind of why I said, like, I wasn't really... I cackled and I was like, well, you know, Gertie ain't wrong about both of them needing muzzle. Because they're just doing too much. But outside of that, Larsa was just getting lit. Like, the whole entire time. She was like, another shot. And Kiki was doing the same thing, but Kiki apparently can hold it a little bit better than like Larsa. Because then we fast forward to 2 and something hours later, after everything is over with, and she FaceTimes like Marisol, Julia, and Alexia. I couldn't remember who it was. I had to think about it for a second. But she ends up FaceTiming them. And she's looking all sexy. She's being all flirty and stuff. She's like, yeah. She's like, I gotta go on OF and, you know, pay these bills. I was like, what? And they're like, you are pips. You are lit. Honestly, and Marisol, that's probably one of the only nicknames that you have given so far that I like. Pips. I like that. She's like, Pips, you are lit. And she's like, ah. And then Larsa proceeds to like just bring out the tatas and she's all like, ah. Now, you can tell this channel is not an ageism channel because I feel like others would critique them like she's too old to be acting like that. She got her body done to look a certain way and to look good. So if she wants to do that, she can go ahead and do that, okay? It's her money. It's her body. It's her choice. And if you look good and you just want to just do this, go ahead and do it. Okay? She was cracking me up though, because all the girls were, and we also found out she did that apparently she did that the other day too. It's like, oh, so this is what she does when she's lit. I was like, okay, so she can actually have a good time. I feel like we never have seen that side of Larsa on the show. And I'm just like, dang, why can't we get more of that? That version of Larsa is the kind of, now that was funny. I kind of laughed. For those who don't realize, I really liked this episode a lot. It was very light and fun. And Miami's back to just on his normal thing. And I'm so happy. I approve. Anyway, moving on. Child, the way I be saying that these reviews are going to be short, and they never are. They never are. Okay. So then next we have Julia. And Julia, at the beginning of the episode, she does talk to Marisol, and she gives an update what's going on with with her adopted boys. And then she also talks about her relationship with her daughters. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care about this part with Julia. Her hair looked crazy at the beginning. But when she won the cruise and she had the extensions, I don't like her, but I will give you your 10. She looked good that way. I liked her hair like that. She looked a lot more youthful. I feel like the other hairstyle she had at the very beginning of the episode when they were getting like juices, she looked old. It aged her. And I'm not saying it in a way, not the ageism of it all. It just was a very matronly looking hairstyle. There's certain hairstyles and things you can do to make yourself, can either age you or make you look younger. And maybe that's the reason why I present as youthful, because I always have youthful looks. Like this, I don't like, I love my braids. I love different hair colors. I like to play with all that. I sometimes have my nose ring in. I sometimes don't. Like, I feel like I just overall present very youthful. Now, imagine if I just wore my hair a little bit more conservative and did not have these type of framed glasses. Like, even my glasses that I purchased, because these are like my, they're my work glasses / reading glasses, or kind of both. I don't really need them yet, because I found out that actually improved my eyesight. But I still wear them because I just like them. Because it is an assistance, because it's one of those things where it's one way over here and then when I look down it's another way. Like, so it is prescription glasses. But anyway, but I was saying all that to say, like, but imagine if I had a different style of glasses that can age me, right? That can make me look older, and just, that's kind of what I was getting at. But anyway, outside of that, Julia wasn't really doing much this episode other than that. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And yeah. Oh, she did share how she understood what was going on with Adriana, but then she still somehow made it about her. Y'all caught that? She's like, yeah, I know Adriana's struggling when it comes to like her birthday and stuff, but I just don't know what's going on with us. Adriana not once this episode mentioned anything about Julia. Not once. Because I'm sorry to announce this, Julia, not everything's always about you. And I feel like I'm saying that to another person. That's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. Moving along. Child, I hate when I get passive aggressive, but sometimes I'm just like that. But anyway, next. I'm blaming it on the Virgo energy. I feel like I'm picking up a little bit of the Virgo next. Even though Virgos are not really that passive aggressive, but they also are judgy. Sometimes they can be judgy boots. But anyway, so next, let's talk about Stephanie. This episode was very much surrounded on Stephanie and what she had going on. We see her meeting up with her friend Anastasia, I believe her friend was named. And she's talking about her navigating with this group. She's struggling, basically. And I think Stephanie came into this show really trying to like meet friends, like actually. And it's fascinating when some of these women are really on that kind of time. Because I feel like most women that come on the show are not on that kind of time. They either already know the women, or they're using it to kind of highlight and showcase their business. I think she's also doing that, but I think she's also trying to then navigate and meet long life friends with this, because this has been a repeated thing with us finding out she does not have a lot of friends. So that's what it is. And so she was explaining to her, like, I've been told so many times that my delivery is horrible. And so now she's actually looking into it. She's like, you know what? They might be right. And she explains, like, I think it is that my delivery comes off a certain way because of how I have to be in business. And you know what? Even though I don't like Stephanie, and I'm also not really completely buying her reasoning, I want to, though. I'm trying to give her benefit of the doubt, because that's just how I am. That's just me as a person. I just try to give everyone benefit of the doubt. But I can see that, because I'm like that too. When we deal with as women working in male dominated fields, which I feel like most fields where there's money involved, it's male dominated in most fields, unless you're like nursing or something like that. But for the most part, a lot of things are male dominated. And in corporate America, I find that I am extremely direct. I'm very much, but I'm also passive. Which I've noticed now, the older I've gotten, I've become more passive aggressive when it comes to things that I want to speak about. Because in corporate America, I have to dial back how aggressive I could be. Because I used to be a little bit, in my younger years, I used to be a hothead. I used to be a total hothead. Like, I was like, man, if I keep this up, I am never going to be able to succeed in life unless I'm an entrepreneur. That was the energy I was giving. But I dialed it back by quite a lot. And also through my years of going to school for business, because I also went to school for business to kind of, and it translates very well with everything I do. I find I know how to get people together without coming off vulgar. I know how to, like, I'm kind of high key when it comes to talking to people corporately. I'm a wordsmith. I can get it together. Minus, like, I know sometimes my spelling and grammar is not always together, but that is what autocorrect and all that's for. I'm still not using the chat GBT. Like, I can handle it by myself. But anyway, I can see where Stephanie's coming from. That's kind of where I'm getting at. I just went around and about. But other than that, the other thing she talked about was like how the possibility of her having kids. And I know I saw some people in the comments when they saw the preview about how, like, she was like, well, she expressed multiple times she don't want to have kids. Just because a woman says they don't want to have kids does not mean that they don't want to have the option. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back. Just because a woman says they do not want to have kids does not mean they do not want to have the option. And I'm speaking on this because Stephanie is me and I'm her when it comes to the kid situation. I don't want to have kids, but at the same time, I've always considered my options, and I even got my eggs and all that checked because I don't know if at some point in time I might change my mind. Your mind, body, spirit, and everything's supposed to evolve every 5 years. So 5 years from now, I might feel differently, or I might not. And as women, because we're like literally a ticking, we're tick when it comes to all that, you consider these things whether you feel strongly about it or not. That's just what it is. And so for those I saw who made comments in the preview about how she was like, she don't want to have kids anyway. Respectfully, get off your high horse. Stop that. And also, too, maybe she says that. Another thing, too, which bothered me about that comment, too, was maybe she doesn't even have the option. And maybe that's why she says that, to kind of protect herself. You never know what a woman has going on when it comes to why they don't have kids. That's just the thing. Like, that used to be something that would happen to me back when I worked in the office that would get on my last nerves. Do not question me about why I don't have any kids. I don't know you like that, so don't question me about that. Okay? Like, do you want to see my doctor report? Like, why are you questioning that? Like, anyway. I just had to like set some of y'all straight on that, because that's a no-no. Respectfully, don't do that, okay? Anyway, I don't care how you feel about Stephanie. That's just not, for me, that's just never gonna be something that's okay for me. Cause yeah, it's just not. Okay. But yeah, other than that, Stephanie was trying to be just cool and chill and keep to herself. She does eventually talk to Marisol later on in the episode and get to the bottom of, and she, articulates, and she's very even keel, articulating her thoughts and why her feelings were her and everything. And as Marisol's doing the explaining, you can see in Stephanie's eyes is clicking for her. Like, Alexia has never been the problem. It's always been Marisol. And side note, I don't know, but I'm just curious because I noticed that Gertie and Stephanie are pretty close on this show. I am partially wondering if, maybe they gave her some advice about that. And also, too, she's friends with Dr. Nicole. So I'm wondering if she got heads up about that to keep her good eye on her. Because we see a preview of the next episode and we see that Stephanie and Adriana are talking, and they're talking about Marisol and about how she's actually the snake in the group. And I was like, bingo, it's always been her. She's the one that's kind of, and this is the reason why I feel like, honestly, if you really think about it, this might be the reason why Marisol will never be full-time, is because of this type of behavior she does. Making the show toxic, and it doesn't need to be that toxic. The show's interesting enough without the toxicity. But anyway, moving on. Let's get Marisol out the way, because then we'll talk about Lisa last. Marisol, we see then that she talks to Stephanie, and Stephanie sees her start to see her true colors. That's kind of what happens here. Other than that, Marisol is the one who's in charge of this whole entire trip when it comes, or not the trip, but the whole entire thing with the cruise. So she's very involved in the episode because it's her event. And I think I mentioned in previous reviews, it's crazy how Marisol's had so many, she's been the planner when it comes to most of the show, when it comes to the events. More than Gertie, even though Gertie is an event planner. And then Alexia only had one event that she planned this whole entire season. Lisa hasn't planned anything. Larsa hasn't planned anything. Julia's planned something. Kiki is planning something. Stephanie's planning something. Yeah, it's just fascinating. Oh, side note, we also find out that Kiki, and I forgot to mention this, Kiki and Stephanie have an event that they have coming up that the proceeds are going to go to charity to help Haitians get back home. So that's, and it's like a drink or whatever that they're being made. But anyway, I think we'll find out next episode a little bit more, because I think that's the next event. I forgot to mention that, but Stephanie and Kiki are working together when it comes to that. So there's that. But yeah, other than that, that was kind of the only thing that happened with Marisol. We find out, we already knew this as viewers, but Stephanie found out. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, y'all know I just have a tendency of doing this. I totally forgot to watch the after show, so I've learned a couple new things from the after show. One thing I forgot to mention is that in the after show, and during the episode, Lisa was starting to show up to a couple of the things on time, and she made a huge deal about it. But it was more or less it was more or less she was giving herself a pat on the back, and I think she was doing it in a light and fun way. She was not being serious. And the lady was like, girl, sit down. That ain't it. But she actually openly admitted on the after show, and Gertie did too. And I'm like, this makes all the sense in the world. They both have ADHD. And I kind of figured that when it came to Lisa, especially because that time management thing, she ain't got it. It's like a whole entire thing. And like, for those who don't know, I actually dated someone who had ADHD and was like, the way their brain works and the way, if you're someone who doesn't have it, you're like, what is happening? You're so confused. And that makes sense now. And Adriana, being the expert she is, even broke it down in the after show of how someone's brain is differ for when you have that and when you don't. And Stephanie also, not Stephanie, wow. Lisa also admitted in the after show that she's actually in therapy working through all this and trying to fix it. And that's why we're starting to see the difference in her, because she is trying to do the work. And it actually makes sense. It actually checks out. Like, after getting out of that tumultuous relationship, she is trying to do the self-work so that she doesn't get herself in that kind of a situation again. And she's also working on trying to be, self-reliant, which, we all want that for her. So that's good. And she said even the show is actually kind of helping her see it even more too, which, that is one good thing about TV or reality TV is you can at least see a representative of yourself in that show, and the things that you don't like, it's right there. So I'm glad she saw that. And then while she was saying that, Gertie's like, I think I have it too. And I was like, yeah. And no shade. It's the main thing that I think the reason why she might have it is because she interrupts people a lot. And I feel like that's kind of a thing. People who have that, they interrupt people all the time. And I do it too to a certain degree, but like, I know this in the show, Gertie does all the time. She's always done that, which I'm sure people find that annoying. And that's why, some people don't love Gertie like that. And I get that, but I think that's part of the reason why is because of that. And shout out to Kempire. Kempire actually called it out in one of his reviews that he thinks that's why Gertie does that, because she might have that. And in the after show, she kind of confirmed that she thinks she does too. So anyway, I just want to add that into this review. So there's that. Oh, and another thing when it comes to Stephanie, I do appreciate that she took ownership of her behavior. She really did. The only thing that I will say is, though, she never did acknowledge she did kind of lie a little bit. But I think she also did explain what that was. When she goes to 0 to 100, when she goes to 100, she don't be knowing what she's saying. And I get that. I know when I hit my breaking point, which I be trying so hard not to, and it takes a lot now for that to happen, but when I do, it's scorched earth. But she's a Scorpio though, so that makes sense. Like, I could see that being her thing. For me, it's crazy that that's not my personality anymore because I'm an Aries. Like, I'm usually the sign that will pop off right away, but years of therapy has solved it. And wisdom, and the fact that whenever I'm really, really upset, I just go to the gym or work out. Like, the way I see it is like, maybe if I just become the fittest person ever, you could just realize how angry I really It's funny, but it's kind of true. I feel like all the times where I was like in the best shape of my life, I was kind of like Michael Jordan on his like Hall of Fame speech. I had chip on my shoulder. Okay. All the times where I've been in shape, I feel like a part of me always had chip on my shoulder. When I've let myself go and I'm a little bit more, the way I'm now, now I'm actually going back to like getting back in shape. But when I was like, the times where I've been a little bit thicker, I didn't have anything to prove. Didn't have as much of a chip on my shoulder. But I guess that's how I channel my anger, basically. Through like exercise and sports. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I was just gonna mention Stephanie saying that she, I did appreciate that Stephanie owned up to what she had going on. But anyway, let's go on to Lisa. So Lisa, she is basically still trying to navigate this whole entire thing with trying to be okay with trying to move forward with Larsa. At this point, it seems like Larsa is the one who's really trying to push for this more than Lisa. Lisa's like, I've been trying. And the other ladies, when she was talking to like, the ladies at the dinner, they do help her acknowledge like, girl, Jody needs to stay out of it. But this is when we find out from Lisa that Larsa brought him in. And we also find out that Larsa texted Jody first. So this whole entire thing about Jody texting her and everything like that, she did it first. And they also had a truce where he was gonna, when they resolved it the first time around, that she was not gonna talk about him. But then she went around and just did it again. So yeah, Larsa's being the villain like she always is. And Jody fed into it and reached out to her, and he should have never done that. So that's down that. He should have ignored her, pretty much, is what the bottom line. Other than that, Lisa does have this scene with Jody, and she talks about how she just is not, she's not used, she wants to be a missus. She likes being a missus. She identifies as a missus. And I get that because she's been kept for so long. And I know people who are like Lisa. Like my ex-roommate was a Lisa to me. And I personally don't understand that mindset just because it can never be me. But yeah, I guess. You know, I don't really know how to navigate that kind of thing. Just because it's like, I don't know, that's just kind of the vibe I get whenever someone's all like, yeah, da da da. When it comes to you know, always having a man. But you know, to each their own. To each their own. It just could never be me, but to each their own. But so we get this awkward scene where it's her and Jody, and she's talking about like, yeah, she's like, this finger is looking kind of empty, but I don't want it right now. And like Jody's like, there's a lot of drama around you. Can we like actually have some peaceful time? If we have a peaceful moment of us, maybe at some point in time we could revisit that. But yeah. And yeah. We know who's the one who's like trying to rush this relationship. It's not Jody. It's definitely Lisa. And we understand why. But anyway, other than that, that's pretty much all that happened on the show and all that really happened in this episode. Overall, it was a great episode. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. But let me know what you thought. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Mel Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.